Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday morning coaching call. Every Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock Pacific, we're here to connect as a community of like-minded, like-valued mortgage professionals. I'm Dave Savage, CEO of Mortgage Coach, and we are absolutely dedicated to your personal and your professional success. We are powered by the values of WOW, helping surpass people's expectations, education, and excellence. Today is all about making you more valuable to both homebuyers and realtors with our RateWatch app. So we all know, and we've talked about this from week to week, that in order to be successful, you need to be a value creator. And I think most mortgage coach professionals understand that insight is value. And for many years now, mortgage professionals have been using MBS, what's happening with interest rates, as critical insight that they bring to both homebuyers, borrowers, realtors, and any referral partner to position themselves as, I'm an expert. So it's not me telling you an expert, it's me demonstrating that you're an expert. So here at Mortgage Coach, we've been bringing that type of content to you for many years now, but now it's time to deliver that in a way that delivers more value so that throughout the day, we hear professionals say, I love the Mortgage Coach RateWatch application, because it just helps me keep a pulse on what's happening on the market. I hear people commenting on, how vibrant the colors are. If the market's improving, it's green. If it's not, it's red. And Joe Puthur, our president, is going to explain some of the intentionality on this. This is what it looked like a few hours ago. So, as the market opened up first thing in the morning, it was red. And then an hour ago, it was green. And it's been going back and forth between green and red. So again, giving you that unprecedented insight so that you can be an expert when you're talking to clients. Now the challenging part and what today's call is about context, about how to make sure that you're being smart and you're using it to be a better you, also to leverage it. How can you leverage it as a mortgage coach, and how can you leverage it and share it at the right time? So you could share it at a time when it doesn't create value, but we're really going to focus on how to share it at the right time that delivers value. So Joe Puthur, myself, we've been studying this mobile mind shift for years now, and we've, with a lot of intentionality, with a lot of focus, we watched Apple, and when the iPhone was rolled out in 2007, which, by the way, same time the mortgage meltdown started, we created the roadmap for Mortgage Coach with a lot of intentionality. And now today, the word Uber, everybody knows what Ubering a ride is, and in the mortgage space and the real estate, everybody knows about Zillow. These companies have become so successful because they've really embraced this mobile mind shift, and they really understand this concept that you need to deliver value in context when it matters most. And so at Mortgage Coach, we're really dedicated to helping you win the mobile moments that matter most as a mortgage professional. And today's call is going to be about that. So taking, MBS and rate tracking and putting it in your back pocket. This is actually a quote from a client that loves this new value and advice. And helping you educate customers and realtors at the right point. So it's all about context. So we're gonna roll into what is the product. It's going to be pretty brief, pretty quick, showing you what it is. So if you're new to Mortgage Coach, or if you're new to the RateWatch app, we're going to net that out, and then we're going to bring in Tony Blodgett, our expert, to help walk you through sales strategies. So if you have not already downloaded the Mortgage Coach apps, great time. If you're watching this on a video, stop the video, download the app. Get the RateWatch app, and yes, you should have our Mortgage Coach app too. So you can either type Mortgage Coach into search or RateWatch one word into search, and make sure those are downloaded. Also, Tony Blodgett created a great 4-minute video, and that's what kind of led to doing this call together. Tony's a great mortgage professional. He originates. He leads a large team. He is a great leader and speaker. So, Tony, welcome to the call.
Thanks, Dave. Glad to be here.
Good. Well, Joe's going to walk us through and really share the product. Please, your goal is to bring this to the trenches so that loan officers understand the context of when to use it and how you use it to deliver value. So jump in any time, my friend.
Great. Sounds good.
Good. And to really lead the rest of the call, Joe Puthur, our president, not only runs the day-to-day business, but manages the product. And bringing RateWatch into mobile is something Joe's worked very hard on with our development team, our designers. They've created a great app. And Joe, I'm going to hand it off to you, and if you could share your vision behind the product and walk us through it.
Well, thanks, Dave, and thank you to the Mortgage Coach community for coming here today to learn about this innovation and put it to use. I want to emphasize the point that RateWatch today is a mobile application. It is in your pocket, on your favorite devices, and most importantly, it doesn't matter if you utilize the suite of Apple products or if you utilize the Google product set. You can leverage Mortgage Coach RateWatch on both sets of devices. So please, as Dave indicated, download it now. Ensure that you're following along and really experiencing what it is that the app has to offer. So when we looked at MBS data and we looked at how originators utilized MBS data, obviously having the information when you need it most is going to allow you to be there at the right time for both your customers and your partners. So when you download the app, the first thing that you're shown is the performance over time of the various markets. And so you're familiar, those of you who have used RateWatch on the desktop, with this view of seeing this content, but now you can see it not only on your mobile phone, but you can adjust the way that it appears on your phone by moving it from portrait to landscape. So as Dave will show a few photos here in a few moments, many of you who use this already have a third screen. You prop your iPad, your iPhone, or your Nexus tablet up, and now you can actually see this throughout the day in real time. The solution also breaks down, as you saw, what's happening not just over time, but what's happening right now. So by swiping to the right or by selecting the 3 bars in the top left, you're able to see the content menu. So RateWatch delivers a lot of powerful information, and we break it up into these categories so you can not only easily see it, but as you'll see in a moment, you can easily share it. The system allows you to go back in time as well. And when you think about having a conversation proactively with your realtor partners or having a conversation with potential borrowers, being able to show where things were as well as where things are is critically important. So you can see that I selected yesterday's date. I was able to jump to yesterday's information and yesterday's chart. As we move through the app, there's a few other key attributes that are delivered inside of the system. Certainly, you're alerted every time that we believe that there is a change that's important to see. So those alerts that you've seen in text messages and on your desktop are now directly on your mobile phone. It'll ping as a native alert. You're used to seeing quality commentary when it comes to putting the information from RateWatch into, as we shared, context. And so before you share it to Facebook or email it, you have access to what experts are saying, and you can see the economic data, read a bit about what's been promoted in the market, and of course receive your daily update from Dan Rawich and other contributors simply by touching, clicking, and launching that video content directly within the app. When you look at the ability in the solution to slice and dice this information, showing things like the analysis over time or moving averages is as simple as simply clicking on that particular item. You can see I touched parameters, and you can switch between the various coupons as well as the various timings to superimpose the lines and charts on the graph. Lastly, you can share the presentations. So when you touch share, we've created a way, and the most common type of methodologies, to instantly share this presentation. So you can see that you can email it, you can text message it, you can even post it to Facebook, or of course copy it to a clipboard and paste it into various other applications that you might be using on your mobile phone. I want you to pay special attention to where it says edit your personal message. Part of being in the right place at the right time is to try to give you the ability to deliver this information without any extra effort. So you don't have to spend much time in all of the different channels that you want to share this information, whether, again, it's to social media or to your friends and family and coworkers and contacts via text and email. So you can simply touch in that space and you can type what you want to say. So please have a look at this information. You can share whatever it is, whatever text you want. So when I now type that in and I select email, it will prepare that email and it will fill out that text as well as attaching that particular image. Same thing will happen if I pick any of the other sharing types. So if I touch SMS, it'll create that image, it'll package it, and now it will also put the text pre-populated into that message. You can share it in both formats, so if you prefer when it posts to your social network or when you post to the various mediums that I've shown here, you do have the ability to show it in landscape format as well. So we've really given you the full gamut of how you can share this information with your clients and your contacts. I do want to also make sure that we show that the information that's provided in this solution also can be adjusted based on various settings in the app. So if you would like to adjust when you get update messages or how often you get proactive update messages, you can adjust it in the settings. And then lastly, we have information about the pricing across many, many lenders. And we've gotten a partnership, as many of you know, with Optimal Blue that's received quite a bit of press lately. So if you are not familiar with our Optimal Blue integration here at Mortgage Coach, as customers of our platform, we certainly want to make sure that you're aware of what it can do. And so let us know, and Dave know, if you would like to see a demonstration of how Optimal Blue and Mortgage Coach work best together in producing presentations. Simply send a note to optimalblue@mortgagecoach.com. But the information that's available in RateWatch is a subset of that value, and it really is a barometer of, as the market is moving today, how are lenders trending, so that you can always be sure to communicate to both your contacts as well as your partners that you are watching the market in real time and that you know that you're not just a commodity but your advice matters. With that said, I hope everyone here downloads the app, experiences it, shares content to both social media and to your various contacts and partners via these mechanisms. And certainly if you have any challenges or questions, support@mortgagecoach.com is always available. Now, to put this product to use, you have to use it. And so with that, Tony Blodgett has come on the line today to share some of the best practices of how he's been sharing MBS information for many years, and now how with the app, things have become a whole lot more fun and engaging. So Tony?
So Tony, look forward to really drilling down on how you're using it. As I've interviewed hundreds of loan officers on how they're using it, it comes down to three categories. They're using it to learn, so they're smarter. They're learning it to leverage, and Tony, you're going to explain how you're doing that. And they're using it to share. So think learn, leverage, and share. So Tony, as you and I have prepared for this call, and with Joe, we've really come up with 7, call it mobile moments, how you're using it, how you're leveraging it. So I want to break this down. We're going to do it in 3 categories. We're going to start with learning. How are you using it to learn? You know, we're going to talk about using it as your third screen. We're going to talk about how different people are using it throughout the day. But so Tony, within the concept of learning, how are you using it to learn and be smarter yourself?
Yeah, well, thanks, Dave. You know, I think that this is the most obvious way to use this tool, right? I mean, as a mortgage professional, I think everyone's known for many, many years that part of what we should be doing is keeping an eye on the market, and this is obviously a great tool to have access to what the market's doing. So not only can I look at the candlestick charts, I can get an idea of what the market's doing today, what it might do tomorrow, you know, based on some historical data. And I'm just educating myself on that. Obviously, the commentary, if you're not listening to Dan's updates, I know he's on vacation this week, but pretty much every day you're getting an update from Dan. And, you know, I have so many people that say, you know, they'll listen to me talk about, you know, the candlestick charts, and they'll say, well, gosh, you know, how do you learn all that information? Well, the reality is you learn by listening to other people. And when you have someone like Dan who has been a trader, who understands, you know, the movement of these candlestick charts, just by listening to him on a daily basis talk about this for, you know, over months and years, and other commentators, you're going to better understand what it is you're looking at. So there's a lot of information that you can gain from going to the commentary section here on the application. Watch Dan's stuff every day, and then weekly you're going to get some other updates as well that drill a little bit deeper into what the market's doing. And I've just found, really, for, you know, 15 years of my career, in the early days, you know, I would walk into a real estate office and someone would say, well, what are rates doing, you know? And you better have an answer to that, and it better sound intelligent, and it's going to tell people that you have a finger on the pulse of what's going on. So I think that's the first and easiest way. It's just simply keeping yourself educated on what the market's doing. Obviously, keeping me up to date on edge views as well. So this is also going to help me monitor who's watching my my mortgage coach presentations, and so having that information updated real time for me is going to allow me to then proactively reach out to my customers and be able to stay on top of that. So that's really how I'm using this, just from a pure learning standpoint and better understanding the market on a daily basis.
All right, so let's make sure we really connect the dots. So there's monitoring the market throughout the day. One great way to do that is having a third screen. So here's some examples of Mortgage Coach members where they've taken their iPad. Well, Tim Storm had to have 4 screens. And by the way, I've seen 5 screens. Andrew in Fort Collins, Colorado. So whether it's a third screen or whether you just have your iPhone out next to your laptop or in a public event, it's a great way for you to stay connected with the market, know what's happening everywhere. Even using it and having it at open house as a conversation starter around what's happening with interest rates. I was with a large national lender at an employee fair recently, and they put out the iPad in the booth area because people would come up and say, hey, what's happening with interest rates? And they were able to not only say this is what's happening, but to show. And it helped capture leads. It helped create dialogue and conversations that drove value. So to your point, as you said this, learning is pretty straightforward. Joe, anything you want to add to the learning piece before we move on to leverage?
Just that no one should ever be intimidated at sharing this information. It's not too much information. It's not odd information. It's critical content to show that you're an expert. The fact that you monitor the market brings that confidence across your partners and customers. And you'd be very surprised the type of reaction you get when you just begin sharing these graphs and charts as Tony shared.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the leverage piece, Tony, and how it can be used to leverage edge views. And again, if you have the app downloaded, to make this the best educational experience where you're learning how to use it, pull out your app, follow along. When we're talking about something, follow along. And if you're listening to the recording, pause the recording, pull out your app, and make sure you understand how to do all the different functions and features that we're going through. So let's talk about leverage, Tony.
Yeah, so I kind of got ahead of myself and mentioned that the edge views, but it is critical. The one thing that I love about this app so much is that, and we've talked about this, I think even before the app was out, how I would use the RateWatch widget on my computer as kind of a point of sale tool. And so now just to have it, right here on my phone, it just takes that experience of having to have someone in my office, which, I talk to a lot of loan officers, and more loan officers are not meeting their clients face-to-face all the time, not because they don't want to give that customer experience, but a lot of times just because of your borrowers and how tech-savvy they are, they would rather do it online. So to have this tool right here and to be able to take those same values that you had in the widget and to have it in your hand, I don't know, for me it's just over the top. But having the edge views, one of the values of using Mortgage Coach Edge, obviously delivering, what I would say is probably the best presentation available as to someone's financing options, to illustrate to someone why they would want to refinance maybe and take advantage of a shorter term loan and so on and so forth. But to be able to then have real-time information as to when they've viewed that and have their contact information right at your fingertips. So just like when you would get an email, you will get a notification in this app that shows you under the Edge Views section, who's viewed your how many views you've had of your Edge presentations and at what time. And it's as simple as clicking on the little information button there and bringing up their contact information, and then from there just simply hitting the email or hitting their phone number and instantly calling them to do a follow-up phone call on that. So you can do this while you're on the road. You don't have to be in front of your computer, and I think that again, it just takes what's always been a great tool and makes it that much better and that much faster, and allows us, while we're on the go, to still reach out to our customers as fast as we always have, to be able to ask them if they have any questions about what they're viewing, if there's any other scenarios they would like to see that we didn't consider or put in their presentation.
Beautiful. So also I want to make sure from the standpoint of leverage and learning yourself, the alert feature, the tab right above the edge view, that is giving you an alert when there is potentially a midday rate change. So that's, part of learning, part of staying connected. Not only is it something that when you want to see what the pulse of the market is doing, you pull it out, it's also alerting you when there's the type of change that would create a midday rate change. So the alert feature, want to make sure we did not forget that. So let's talk about sharing. So again, learning, making you better, leverage, speed to lead, giving you the leverage to be at the right place at the right time, to know if a prospect is paying attention to what you're sending them. Now let's talk about sharing. From a sharing perspective, how are you using it to share this insight?
Well, I think that sharing is frankly the number one way. Obviously you need to be educated on what the market's doing. You need to stay on top of it. So being able to monitor the movement of MBS is important. But as far as leveraging this as a business building tool, as bringing value to your realtor partners, as showing your borrowers and your realtors that you work with how you bring value to their customers, sharing is the very best way to do that. And there's kind of the old school way of sharing, and then there's kind of the new school way of sharing. And I think both of them still have a place. And by old school, what I mean is just simply when you're face-to-face with someone, when you're out talking to a realtor at an open house, or you've stopped by their real estate office, or you've scheduled a 15-minute meeting, to meet with them and share with them the value proposition that you can bring to their business. Being able to pull out your phone, pull out your tablet, and show them, what tools you use to help keep your finger on the pulse of the market. And this, just the layout of this makes it really easy to do that. And I'll just give you a quick example of how I might use this. One of my favorite things to do, and I used to do this when I just had the widget, and I still like to do it on my phone, but I'll give you an example. If you guys have the app downloaded right now and you go to the home screen where you have your candlestick chart and you go to the 30-day view, you'll notice at the very end of that 30-day view, it's around October 15th, and there was a huge movement that day in the market. And so what I like to do is find kind of some of the extremes in the market, because that's going to be the best way to illustrate to someone, how this is really going to bring value. Because on a day where the market's been flat for a week, it's not very exciting. It's not very sexy to talk about. Granted, you still need to know what's going on, but it's not going to really show your point. So if I go back and I find a day where there was some significant movement, so October 15th looks to me like it was a pretty extreme day. And then what I like to do is then from there, once I've identified a good thing to share, then I go over to the day watch, and so you can just go back to the day watch. And on the day watch, up in the upper right-hand corner, you can select what date you want to actually view. So then I can just go back to October 15th, and if you want to do this with me, go ahead and do it. And then you touch back on the home screen, and you're going to see that, sure enough, there was, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 alerts that day. But what I could show my realtor partner, what I could show my borrower is, look at when I got my first alert. It was around 6:30 in the morning, right after the market opened. There was an alert that day, and there was a few subsequent right after that. Now, if I go back and I show them, hey, I would have gotten an alert here, I would have known that it's a good time to lock. And then what I could have done is I go back and I share with them, what did the chart do after that? Well, it went all the way from 104.24 all the way down to around the 5th or so of November at 103.18. So we lost, almost 100 basis points over those, that span of time. So what I'm going to share with them is, this is how I bring value to your borrowers. What's the difference between what they could qualify for or what their payment would be at the interest rate back on the 15th versus the interest rate if we didn't lock that day and we had to wait, until it bottomed out. What's the difference? So find those extremes and use the candlestick chart to do that, and then drill deeper with the day watch to illustrate how you bring value. Now, this is something you can do in a meeting when you're sitting there talking with someone, or it's something that you can share using the share tool that Joe showed. Now, this is something most of the time I'm gonna do a little research before I have a meeting, and I want this to be somewhat of a, I don't want to stumble through this. I want to know that this is going to be something that's going to be impactful to my presentation, and it's just one way that I'm sharing with them that I bring value in the way that I would use this tool. Does that make sense, Dave?
Makes total sense. Makes total sense.
So that's one thing I love to do, and I got to tell you, it's not very often that you can't go back 30 or even go to the maximum and find an extreme day in the market. So this is not something that there was just this phenomenon where, oh, it just happens to be, that one day on this chart. This happens all the time, and so finding them is not difficult to do, and then just building a script around that, and I think that's going to give you a lot of leverage and really show the impact of what this tool does. So the other way that I like to share, and I shared, just on Facebook just the other day, like right now, if you, and keep in mind, you guys, I think that it's important that you get to know this tool very well, because there's times where it makes sense to use a 10-day view. There's times where it makes sense to use a 30-day view. And really, the information is what it is. What you're trying to do is find the best way to present the information so that it has the most impact on whether it's your borrower or your realtor that you're trying to, show them how you bring value. So think about that as you share. It's just not, hey, let's just share it willy-nilly, although you can certainly do that. But I think that there's a more strategic way of doing it. So think about what you want your message to be, and then find the best amount of days or the best chart that's going to allow you to illustrate that. So an example would be, I wouldn't use the 30-day chart to be able to, to share with someone, that I feel the market kind of hit a bottom here a few weeks ago or a few days ago, and now we're in an upward channel. I would go back and I would change my timeline to more like the 10-day view, and then go back to my chart. And if I look at the 10-day view, it's all up. There is, it just shows that it was at the bottom, and it's just on its way up. So I might take that, I might share that, I might just put a quick little, couple sentences that says something like, hey, middle of November, it looks like the market hit a low. As we're heading into the holidays, you may be wanting to take some time off, but there hasn't been a better time, to lock in your rate, or something along those lines. We all know that now is the time where things, quote unquote, tend to slow down. So what sort of action can I take to make sure that my business doesn't slow down, and illustrating that home affordability is really good right now, right in the midst of the holiday season, might get someone off the fence.
Beautiful. So I think, we've covered all the ways of sharing it. Share it in person, pull it out of your pocket, integrate it in your conversation, click the share button on the product itself, whether or not you want to drive it with an email, you want to drive it with a text, or you want to use it from a marketing perspective, or you just want to put it in your clipboard for some other purpose. We've made it very easy for you to share it with context at the times that matter most. Also, I want to remind all you managers on this call that Tony created a quick 4-minute video sharing his vision, how he's using it. We've had lots of feedback from loan officers that are using it to drive value in meetings and using it to drive value to get meetings. So when you think of RateWatch, think of learn, it's going to make me smarter. I'm going to leverage it so I can get to my leads faster with edge views, and I'm going to share it so that I have more. I'm giving what's happening in the market with context to my realtors. So Joe, anything else you want to share around sharing?
No, I think that everyone here has done a great job of summarizing the benefits. I do want to emphasize that when you're sharing the information and you do generate the type of insight traction that you're looking for, continue to share, to really get the traction here and to get realtors to respond to this information. You can't just share it once. This has to become part of your habit. It has to become part of your brand of sharing this information and being the source of this insight. And so when you can create that expectation over time that you are the source of this information, they begin to depend on it from you. And I think that creating that source relationship makes a whole lot of sense, and with the app in your pocket or on your tablet, it's become a whole lot easier. I think too, Dave, it's very important to emphasize that the alerts, when you do receive a edge presentation alert, the fact that someone is looking at that presentation, be it an open house or a total cost analysis, you're alerted. So your realtor community, your partner community, and your families that are looking at your mortgage advice are all shown in the single app in the same place. And when you touch that alert, it actually does bring up the presentation for you. So I don't know if everyone was able to catch that in the demonstration here, but when you receive an alert and touch it, you'll always be able to see what that presentation was, so that when you call that realtor or you call that family, you're looking at that exact same report on your phone. You never have an excuse with RateWatch to not have the information available to have a quality conversation at any point in time. So between the sharing and the learning, I think that's an amazing fusion of capabilities for all of you, and I hope you get the most out of the app.
Beautiful. So just to make sure everybody connects the dot, when you see that edge view, and again, I don't have any today yet, but I had some a few days ago, and as you do that, you can click right there, the report, and that drives you into the Mortgage Coach app. So now you know exactly what you presented to that client. You're able to have a conversation around it in detail. You're able to pinch into the mortgage options. If you need to get into the details, you get into the details. You can show and have, whether it's a success story and it's a mortgage story, or whether or not it's just a specific mortgage strategy. Joe, you and the team have just done a spectacular job of integrating the Mortgage Coach value proposition and putting it in your back pocket in a very useful way. So I love this this review that we received, not only because it's just great positive feedback. You know, your friend in finance, thank you very much for this, because it's great feedback for our team, but it's also a great teaching on how you can use this tool to get more meetings. So if you have not downloaded it, get it downloaded. And if you have downloaded it and you're getting tons of value, please, the best way to say thank you to Joe, our designers, our developers, the entire team that made this Mortgage Coach innovation, give us a review. Let us know what you like about it. Let us know how you're getting value for it. Share the love with the Mortgage Coach community. So Tony, thank you for, on a holiday week, jumping on, giving value back to the entire Mortgage Coach family. We've got a big holiday upon us. I want to remind everybody, if you want to learn more about our Optimal Blue integration that Joe mentioned earlier, just email optimalblue@mortgagecoach.com. Make it even easier, even faster to create Mortgage Coach reports. And Tony, as we wrap up today's call, any parting thoughts or words for all your peers out there in the industry today?
Yeah, you know, I have two final thoughts. You know, first of all, when it comes to sharing, I would encourage you all to think of, always be thinking of ways that you can share this tool, because like I said, the opportunity isn't there every second of every day, but if you're constantly thinking about the different ways that you would share this, and when those opportunities present themselves in the market, you're ready, you're prepared to share. The last one I want to give you, one more nugget. I see this a lot when loan officers have a successful, let's say that a lender couldn't do a deal, you got it, you closed it in 2 weeks, you want to share that story with people, right? Well, here's another way that you can use this to share, is that when you use the RateWatch tool in order to successfully lock in a customer before the market turns in the other direction. So you're listening to the commentary, you're watching the charts, you say, you know what, today's a good day to lock, and then the next day the market falls off. Well, you know what, that's a real success, and that's something that I would be sharing with my realtor directly, saying, hey, look, want to let you know, we got the Joneses locked in yesterday. Good thing we did. Look at what the market did. So glad I have these tools, to help me make good decisions for your borrowers, or something like that. So look for those opportunities as well. Just like other success stories, use this for sharing your success stories as well, and that's definitely going to bring value to your partners, your borrowers, and it's going to make you look like you have a finger. Well, it won't make you look like it. You do have a finger on the pulse of what's going on.
Absolutely. So, hey, everybody, please let us know what you thought of today's call. If you're new to the Mortgage Coach, or you're a guest on this call, you're watching it with a Mortgage Coach and you'd like to learn more about Mortgage Coach, click the I'd like a demo to learn more. But we appreciate your feedback. I mean, have a fantastic Thanksgiving week. Joe Puthur, final words and thoughts as we wrap up today's call.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. And our development team and the technology group take your recommendations and your ideas seriously. I think many of you have seen your feedback come to life as you've shared on these calls for many years as members what you'd like to see. Mortgage Coach is the first organization to bring MBS data to these mobile platforms in a native application that, as you've seen, you can share to all of your important contacts and social networks. And as you use it, if you come up with ideas on how to make it it stronger, better, more effective for you, please voice it and send your concepts and thoughts to support@mortgagecoach.com. We are always listening. So thank you for your time today, and thank you, Tony, for sharing your insight with our community.
Thanks, Joe.
Take care, everybody. Have a great week. See you next week.